In this video, we are going to look at challenge events on Donorfy and how they can be managed. So my name's Ben, I'm from DonorCare. Just before we get started, a little bit about us. At DonorCare, we help with Donorfy onboarding, we give lots of training and ongoing support to good causes. We've got a whole load of resources on demand so that people can get on-demand support. We've got our academy with some webinars and some exciting new training programs about to be launched. And we do reporting and consultancy so that charities can make data-driven decisions using tools such as Power BI. So we are going to talk about challenge events, and specifically as an example, we're going to talk about how to manage a London Marathon program in Donorfy. So we're going to start off by looking for runners already in your data and how they might be labelled up and tagged. Then there'll be a process for people to apply for a charity place. So we'll be looking at a Donorfy form. Once people have applied, we'll be looking at a mechanism for recognising that application and if you give them a place or not. Once somebody has a place, how you welcome them with an initial email and how you get them to register and pay a registration fee. We'll then jump across to campaign analytics and fundraising and how you can link up Just Giving campaigns to Donorfy campaigns. It may also be that you get sponsorship directly from supporters and they don't go the Just Giving or Virgin Money Giving route, so how you might facilitate that. We'll look at a timeline of a whole supporter journey from start to finish, see how that looks and how you can track different elements of their journey as they undertake the marathon. And thanking your donors at the end, thanking your runners at the end, and getting ready for next time. So the first thing we're going to do is group together all of those constituents on our Donorfy CRM that we think might be interested in taking part in the London Marathon. So I've got a constituent record open here, Dwight, his constituent records, and we're going to go and look at tags. Now within tag category 3, interests and hobbies, which may be very similar to the tag categories that you have on your Donorfy, we have a tag called running. That tag for this CRM denotes anybody who has shown an interest or ran for this particular charity. So we're going to group together all of those people who have the tag category running in order to approach them about the London Marathon. So the way we are going to do that is by creating a list. So if I scroll back up, we are going to go into lists here on the left hand side. Now using list tags, I have created a tag to group together my London Marathon lists. And as you can see, I have one here which is for inquiries, one for actual runners, and another tag and another list which is for all runners. So all people who have that tag called running. So let's open up that list. And we can see here we've got our list name, all runners, joined to that tag, London Marathon lists. Now this is a list that I'm going to be using fairly often. It's a constituent list that I want to show in my menu to give myself a shortcut to get to that list. So if we look on the left hand side, under constituents, I've got my 3 lists as a quick way to find what I'm looking for. So let's close that down. So if we go down the page, we can see that I am looking for all of those runners that we have a channel setting of email yes, and a channel setting of mail yes. We're also looking for those where we have fundraising information is yes, so they're happy to receive information about fundraising, just to make sure that we are being GDPR compliant. Now, in order to identify those who have the tag, we're going to include constituents where there are active tags, or it has an active tag of running. So if I just save, update and preview, see who is here on our list. Scroll down. We can see we have created a list with 12 people who have the tag running on their list. So those are going to be the first people that we contact about the London Marathon to see if they're interested in applying. So we're going to send them out a letter. We have a few different options as to what we can do, but in this case we're going to send them a letter. So we go to download. All mail merges are done outside of Donorfy. So just in case, as a matter of course, we're going to combine people at the same address into one letter, because we don't want them receiving lots of letters through the post. If there's 4 people at the same household who have all shown an interest in running before, it doesn't look great as an organisation to waste resources like that. So we're going to switch that to yes. I also want this information to appear in the constituents timeline, that we are sending them a letter. So we are sending them a letter called Apply to the London Marathon. And let's also attribute it to the 2021 London Marathon campaign. So I prepare that download. So as that's preparing, ready for the mail merge to take place outside of Donorfy, I go and have a look back at Dwight's timeline. We can see here we have got Apply to the London Marathon letter. We know that that has gone out today. So that's the first thing that's going to appear on Dwight's timeline. So what we've done is we have found everybody using tags that we want to approach who's already on a CRM about applying for the London Marathon, and we've sent them out a letter to apply. So as well as trying to encourage those already on our CRM to apply, we would like to attract new people to apply for the London Marathon. And so we're going to use a Donorfy form that sits on our website in order to help speed up this process. So we have created a form called Apply for a Place in the London Marathon. And you can see that everything from Apply for a Place downwards is part of a Donorfy form embedded on a website. Really simple to create. And the aim of this form is to fill up an activity, which is an application activity, where we're trying to find out people's reasons for running and how much they can raise, as well as add some tags about running vest sizes if we do give them a place. So let's go through the form. So we're asking for their details, first name, last name, an address, email address. All of those we're making mandatory because those are the ways in which we're going to keep in touch with our applicants. If we scroll down the form, we've got why would you like to run? We've given them some multiple choices, but you don't have to have multiple choices. You can have free text and put whatever else you would like in. With both of these fields, why would you like to run and how much can you raise? These are going to be populating an activity, a London Marathon application activity that sits on a timeline. And we can see here that activity. We've got some additional fields within that activity so that we can process the application. But on the form, we're only looking at why would you like to run and how much can you raise. Now, in addition, we might end up actually giving these applicants a place. And so we have created some tags to find out what size running vest they are. So if they select small or medium or large, those are automatically going to add the tag on Donorfy within the constituent attributes section that we've created. Now, in addition to those tags being added, the tag called London Marathon Inquirer will also be added, as well as the tag called Running, so that if we're collating lists in future of anyone who's applied or interested, we'll have them in our running list as well. In addition, we have got all the usual stuff about how to keep in touch with you. Can we send you emails? What would you like to hear about? So we've got all of those records on here. So the Donorfy form is a really simple way that you can feed information from your website through to Donorfy so that people can apply for a place for the London Marathon. So now that we've had some people apply for the marathon, we are going to look at who we're going to give a place to. So let's have a look at our quick routes to our list. So let's look at our London Marathon inquirers. And we can see here we have got 3 inquirers for the marathon. So let's go and have a look at Dwight's record. And jump to his timeline. And we can see that he had the apply to the London Marathon letter. And there's also been an application made on the same day. So let's open up that application. And we can see that the reason for running is the personal reason that's been given. And the fundraising pledge is £3,000. And so now our job is to allocate this place. And so we've created some additional yes/no toggles on the right-hand side, how we're going to manage this application. So we are going to allocate a place to this participant. So if I save that, now there are a variety of different auto tags that you can create, but we're going to do something slightly more manual. Just going to go to his profile page, go down to the tags, and I'm going to change him from an inquirer to a London Marathon charity runner. So that's changing his status. So it means he's not going to pop back up in my inquirer lists, but now he's going to join my runner list, somebody who we've actually given a place to. So if I just save my changes, scroll back up, and we'll be able to see that he is now joined my runners list. So now that we've given this participant a place in the London Marathon, we're actually going to send him out an email from Donorfy which says, "Welcome to the team and please pay your registration fee." So let's go into Dwight's record and go to send documentation. We're going to send a letter that we already have on the system that we've created, which is London Marathon, welcome to the team and pay registration fee. So of course you can make these letters, to make these emails appear however you want. We've included a URL here, so that will go through to our website where you can actually pay the registration fee. I'm just going to add on the campaign here. We're also going to create a task so that we're going to check to see if the registration fee has been paid. I'll assign it to myself, and I'm going to check next Monday. So let's send that email. And we can see here, we have got welcome to the team and pay registration fee. There's an email that has been sent. So after selecting our runner, we've then sent them that email to pay for a place. So the link in that email is going to send them to another form on our website. This one's about paying a registration fee. This is a form that takes a payment via Stripe. So we have the ability to add in names and email addresses. We've pre-selected the amount of £50. We've also added an additional field just in case this runner passes payment on to somebody else, a friend or a relative, so that whoever makes this payment, they're able to add a note into the transaction so that we can always find them and match that up to the person who's actually taking part, the person whose registration fee this is for. Payment is taken via Stripe, and you're able to press pay my registration fee after completing all the details, which means that payment for registration will feed into Donorfy. It will appear on the constituents record, and then the runner can carry on getting ready for the marathon. So as your team come together for your event, you might want to start looking at the different features within campaigns to try and help it all hold together. So we're going to have just a quick look at the London Marathon campaign, which we've created. So that's within campaigns. We've organised it so we can see it as a list, London Marathon campaign. A couple of things of note is how we give a description to our campaigns. We're trying to keep them all pretty uniform by having the year at the front and then the name of the campaign, so that as we get more and more fundraising campaigns on Donorfy, it's all in a format and an order that we can keep track of. We've also got some of our KPIs in here. How many people in terms of the audience we're trying to reach out. With this campaign, we'd like 100 people to apply for a place. Our constituent acquisition, how many places we actually have. We've got 5 places that we want to give, 5 people we want to have running for us. And our transaction amounts, we would like each of those constituents to raise £2,000 as an average. So how you use audience size, goals, is up to you, but they're quite good as sort of fields to put in your KPIs. We've also got some default products and default funds in terms of how we bank any funds that come through. So there's 2 tabs we're going to take a look at. Firstly, let's have a look at analytics. And afterwards we will go and look at how we can join Just Giving to this campaign. So the analytics tab comes as standard with Donorfy, so you can keep track of how campaigns are progressing. Obviously the aim of fundraising and using Donorfy is to raise as much money as possible. So we've got some of the different metrics here which are really useful to look at. What your largest gift is, smallest gift, average gift, total, which is important, and when your gifts happen to and from. So they're really good to dip in and out of these to use to see how your campaigns are going. There's also a couple of graphs so you can have a look at when your constituents are arriving and when your campaign donations are coming in. So the second tab we're going to look at is fundraising pages. So when you look at the fundraising pages tab, you'll see here Just Giving settings on the left hand side. So if you are linked to Just Giving, then you can link your Just Giving campaign to your Donorfy campaign. It's a fantastic way of making sure that any funds raised through Just Giving are recognised on your Donorfy campaign. So do check out the different campaign tools. You can also look at expenses. If you did decide to add on different expenses, you can see the true cost, the true return on investment that you get for your fundraising. So there may be times when your runners want to pay in sponsorship directly to you and avoid platforms such as Just Giving, in which case a Donorfy form may be the best way to facilitate that. So we have another form example here with name and address so that somebody submitting payment can add that. If I just scroll down, we can put in the amount they want to sponsor, which is £100 in this case, and you can add your card details there. Now, it is important to remember that sometimes people will be paying in sponsorship on behalf of somebody else. It could be a work colleague, could be a friend, could be a partner, and so not all of this sponsorship can be gift aided. So within the forms, we're able to adjust the text, and we can see that I've added some additional text here, which is, please note, you can only gift aid donations made by yourself and not collected on behalf of others. So if we have a bake sale, for example, that's being paid in, or somebody's paying in for somebody else, then we want to make sure that we're not claiming gift aid where we shouldn't be. So this is one way in which you can make it easy for your runners to pay in their sponsorship. So as we go through the campaign and we get closer to the event day, we're going to start to see that communications and all those transactions build up against a constituent timeline. So let's go and have a look at Dwight again, who's our runner. Look at his timeline. And we can see here, right from the beginning, in April, when he first applied for a place and we registered him, there's a whole variety of things that have happened. And we've used activities in Donorfy to represent this. And we've created some activities that can be used across different campaigns. And the thing that sets them apart for it to be London Marathon is always attributing the 2021 London Marathon campaign against that record. So if we start from the bottom, we can see on the 13th of April, there was a flurry of activity with his application letter that was sent. He also applied on the same day and made the application online through one of our forms. And then straight away, we gave him a place and sent him out an email saying, please pay your registration fee. A little bit later, a fundraising pack was sent, and we've recorded that here as an activity. We've also recorded that a race vest was sent, and we're using the vest size that Dwight completed when he applied for the event to know which vest to send him. We've also had a transaction that's been received, so we can see here a cheque for £1,245 unrestricted was sent in, so that appears on his timeline. And you can really start to now see the interaction between charity and constituent over a period of time and that relationship building. We've got a good luck letter that was sent in September. And then we have some race day information. And we've actually recorded when the race day is on here in order that it's a really good timeline, so you can see in several years' time, you can look back and it all sort of makes sense. We've actually added some additional information into this activity. So if I open it up, I can see, like all of these other activities, they are not specific to a particular event, but they're able to be used over and over again. And it's the campaign that will determine which event it's for. But we've also put on the race number, because this is something that as an organisation we may have to hold, and whether this runner is going to be attending our post-race hospitality. So we've held that here in the race day record. So if I close this down, of course, if you're using MailChimp and sending out MailChimp emails, those will appear here as part of this campaign. Any letters, any individual emails or any transactions will also appear. So it really does give you an in-depth picture as to the relationship, the supporter journey that this particular constituent has been on. As we get to the end of the campaign, there are a few things we need to do in order to wrap it up. So firstly, let's go and have a look at our runner. So if we go into his timeline, we can see here we've got the final entry for this particular event on this runner's timeline. It is the certificate of thanks that we've sent out. And we've also made a comment in the notes. If I just open this up, we can see here it's going on one of our certificates, and the notes is 4,324. So that's something we're preparing outside of Donorfy, but we're putting a note on here so we know exactly what we've said and what we've sent. And that wraps up the supporter journey with the final letter that goes out for this. But what we need to make sure is that we're set up for next time. Because when we started off on this journey, we firstly looked at everybody who had the tag running against their record. So we can see here that Dwight has the tag running, but we want to make sure, just in case, that everybody who has inquired, who has run, has got that tag, so that when we come to next year, look at who might want to run, we can start off those lists again based on looking at that tag. So very simply, we are going to go back into our lists. So go to lists on the left-hand side. We're going to open up our London Marathon lists. Firstly, let's go to our runners. So we've got two people who have the tag London Marathon 21 Charity Place Runner. Liz and Dwight. And just to make sure, I'm going to click on the tag function, and we're going to make sure that they've all got the tag in the interests and hobbies running. Let's add the tag to those constituents. And as with some of the other processes in Donorfy, this is queued. Let's just save that. And I can do the same thing by going into the other lists. So let's make sure all the inquirers have got that tag. So this time anybody who's got 21 London Marathon Inquirer. Let's do the same thing again. And just make sure that they've all got the tag running. And that's going to queue. So there we are, that is your London Marathon campaign. And we've looked at right from the beginning when we're trying to find runners in our database, using forms to attract new runners, using forms to pay registration fee, tracking analytics and looking at the supporter journey on a timeline. So good luck with your own London Marathon and your own mass participation events.